In our last episode, we arrived at San Francisco and explored Chinatown. There we found a Brotherhood of Steel outpost, and the Brotherhood asked us to travel to the nearby Enclave base called Navarro to retrieve some vertibird plans for them. We also learned that Navarro is just a vertibird refueling station, so it's likely not the place the Enclave took our missing tribespeople. We need to head to Navarro to get these vertibird plans and see if we can find any clues that point to where the Enclave took our people. Now, the Brotherhood told us that Navarro is heavily guarded. A frontal assault is likely not going to work. Instead, they recommended that we leave our companions at San Francisco and infiltrate Navarro by pretending to be an Enclave recruit. And so, wearing nothing but our vault suit, we hop in the highwayman and travel north until we find Navarro. As soon as we arrive, we get taken aside by a man in a purple robe. "Howdy, stranger." "Whoa, baby, check out that set of wheels," he says. "Ain't seen one of those in years. What can old Chris do for ya?" "What is this place?" we can ask. "This here's my place, Chris's. It's a service station. Ain't you ever seen one of those in old magazines and such? That's what I've got here, a service station." "Oh, well, I'm looking for Navarro." "Is this it?" we can ask. "Navarro," says Chris. "Ain't heard of that name in ages. Old military base southeast of San Fran, and that's a ways south of here." But we know this guy is lying. We just recently came from the military base, and it wasn't called Navarro. So the Chosen One can say, "I've been there, and that's not Navarro." "Huh?" says Chris. Well, sure it is. I heard tell of it a while back. Navarro Military Base, southeast of San Francisco." The Chosen One can say, "You lie. I don't have the patience for this. Tell me the truth, or you'll be sorry." "Screw you," says Chris, and he takes a radio out of his robe. "You wanna see sorry? I got some boys who will show you a whole new meaning for the word." And he starts to turn the radio on. We have a brief moment to react here. If we say, "Hey, what do you think you're doing?" Chris speaks into the radio. "Alert! We've got an intruder at the station! Alert!" With that, Chris turns hostile. "Die, outsider," he says, and he attacks. Now, Chris isn't very difficult to defeat, but he's alerted the Enclave at Navarro. Now, if we show up, everyone will turn hostile. Our plan to masquerade as an Enclave recruit is foiled. Alternatively, once he pulls out his radio, we can say, "That's a bad move, partner." This gives us a brief moment to kill him before he radios the Enclave. We may not have been able to fool Chris, but at least the Enclave don't know we're here. Alternatively, if we try to run by saying, "Hey, I'm out of here," he again alerts the Enclave. So our only option after mentioning the military base is to kill him outright. But there are many more speech options here with Chris. Instead of asking about Navarro, we can say, "Have you seen any vertibirds fly through here?" And Chris says, "Vertibirds? That's an interesting subject. Now, why would you be asking about them here?" And we can say, "Well, the shaman of my tribe told me these vertibirds stole our people. I'm here to find them." "Shaman?" says Chris. "Look here, if your shaman says he sees things flying around and scooping up people, then he's been sniffing too many herbs. Got it?" Well, we can say, "Hakunen was a great shaman. If he says he saw vertibirds, then he saw them." And Chris says, "Well, nice talking with you. Here's some advice, though. Ain't nothing in these parts except wasteland and radiation. Civilization south of here. I'd be heading that way if I was you." "Thanks," we can say. Or if we say, "I'm just looking around," he says, "Well, I don't mean to be rude or nothing, but this here is private property. If you're going to be poking around somewhere, don't be doing it here." After choosing either of these two options, we can explore a bit, but Chris stays nearby, and he watches everything we do. However, if we ask him about the vertibirds after having talked with the Brotherhood of Steel at San Francisco, we find another option here to say, "Well, I'm asking about them because I know some people who are interested in the vertibirds. I'm trying to locate them for them." Well, that doesn't mean anything to me, says Chris. But in case I see one of these vertibirds, whom should I be telling? Oh, we can say, well, you can tell the Brotherhood of Steel. The Brotherhood, says Chris. Yeah, well, I'll do just that. Meanwhile, I got things to do. But the Chosen One notices his hesitation. Wait a minute, pal, says the Chosen One. Obviously, I've got some powerful friends, and they tell me Navarro is here. Now you tell me where, or things will get messy. Hey, says Chris, I'm just told to shy off visitors and such. I don't want the kind of trouble you're talking. Then I would suggest you tell me the best way into the base. Now, we can say. And Chris says, well, I suppose that would be through the trap door in the floor of my room. Just go and leave me be. All right, we can say, I'll do just that. But then Chris walks off, and the Chosen One notices something. He's pulling out a radio. He's going to alert the whole base, we say. I've got to deal with him quickly. And before Chris can make it to his hut, we can kill him. If we killed him fast enough, we killed Chris before he could warn the base. And we gain 500 experience. But if we arrive here at Navarro after having talked with the Brotherhood of Steel at San Francisco, we can try to use the plan they suggested, which is to impersonate an Enclave recruit. To do so, we find an option after Chris stops us to say, hey, have you ever heard of the Enclave? Are they around here? And Chris says, Enclave? That a group or something? That don't ring no chimes with me. But, what do you want with them? And we can say, oh, well, I want to join. Join up, he says. You're a tribal. What makes you think they'd want a tribal? And his posse, no less. Now, I read that he's not supposed to mention the posse if we came here by ourselves, but this is a bug. He mentions them anyway because the car counts as a companion in terms of this dialogue check. So this is a scripting error. In order to convince him, with our highwayman here, even if we're otherwise alone, we have to pass a speech check. To do so, we can say, I'm serious. I'm looking to join the Enclave. Wait a minute, says Chris. Are you trying to say that you're one of the Enclave replacements? If that's the case, then why aren't you alone? And again, due to this bug, we have to pass another speech check to proceed. We can say, well, I hired an escort. And if we pass it, he says, damn, sorry for the hassle. I'm supposed to clear a bunch of newbies coming through here, but I got to weed out the trash. Anyway, just go up to the gate, through the woods there, and give them the password. It's Sheep's Head. Oh, and stay on the path. Thanks, we can say. And with that, Chris lets us by. Now we can explore his little service station here. Heading through the door, we see a room to the right that leads to the garage. All the containers here are empty. Moving out of the service station, we find a shack attached. This must be where Chris sleeps. If we try to access the door, Chris stops us and tells us not to nose around. In order to get in here, we've got to kill Chris. And here, we find the hatch on the ground that Chris told us about. Heading down, we find a back passage that leads to Navarro. It's a long hallway. Or, if we convinced him that we're a new Enclave recruit, we can follow the path through the woods towards the gate, like he suggested. Now, there is a third and final way to get into Navarro from here, but we'll talk about it in just a minute. Following the trail through the trees, we find an exit grid to the northwest. On the other side, we find Navarro, and we can talk to the guards.
Halt! This is federal property. No admittance without proper authorization.
Oh, well, I have my pass. It was right here.
Don't give me any excuses. You need to either show me your pass or give me the password.
I'm sorry, I lost my pass and I don't know anything about a password.
I suggest you leave this installation immediately and do not return here without proper authorization. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, sir. If we try again.
Halt! Back again, huh? Well, you'd better have your pass or know your password this time. Well, I'm waiting.
Oh, to hell with it. Bite the bullet, jerk. He and the other Enclave here turn hostile. This is pretty tricky, because not only do we have to kill these Enclave, but we have to destroy the guard turrets just outside. So instead, when he confronts us, we can say, I'm a new recruit. I was told you'd be expecting me.
I see. May I have your password?
And if we got it from Chris, we can say sheep's head.
One moment. Okay, you check out. Report to the drill chief. Go through the gate, past the kennel. It's the first door on the right.
Okay. We find a couple of computers in the guard post, but they're not active. Heading through the gate, we see the dog kennel just off to the right. That must mean the drill chief is in the adjoining room. Opening the door, we find him standing against a wall. Now, if we infiltrated the base without posing as an Enclave recruit, he says,
Welcome to Camp Navarro. A civilian? How in the hell did a civilian get on this base? I'll have someone's ass for dinner. Get the civilian off government property.
If we try again,
Well, I'll be damned. I had the bunch of you escorted off this base, and here you are again. I don't think you're civilians after all. More than likely, you're spies. Sound the alarm and execute these maggots.
he attacks. But if we successfully convinced Chris that we're a new Enclave recruit, he says,
Welcome to Camp Navarro. So you're the new replacement. You are out of uniform, soldier. Where is your power armor?
It just so happens that you're wearing it. I'll just take it off your dead body. But that wasn't smart. They all turn hostile. So instead we can say, I wasn't issued any armor.
Don't have any? You expect me to believe that, maggot? The truth is, you lost an expensive piece of Army issue equipment. That suit is going to come out of your pay, and you will remain in this man's army until you are 510 years old, which is the number of years it will take for you to pay for a Mark II powered combat armor you have lost. Report to the armory and have a new suit issued to you. Then report back to me, Private. Dismissed.
Yes, Sergeant. If we talk to him again,
Soldier, you are still out of uniform. I gave you a direct order to report to supplies and get your issue. Now get out of my face and don't come back until you look like a soldier!
yes, Sergeant, I'm on my way. Or instead of saying we weren't issued any, we can say, the base didn't issue me any. They said it would be issued here.
Those paper-shuffling jackasses, how the hell do they expect me to run this unit if they keep shortchanging me on supplies? Double time it over to the armory and get your issue, then report back to me. Dismissed!
Yes, Sergeant. Okay, this Sergeant Dornan is quite a character. Looks like we better find that power armor before talking with him again. The containers in Dornan's room are all empty. There's a room to the north where we find a couple of scientists, but they don't say much to us. Since we're still out of uniform, all they do is tell us to get in uniform. And that's the story with everyone here until we're wearing power armor. So before we can proceed with the story, we really got to get this armor. We see a freight elevator here, but we'll explore it in a minute. Moving across the road, we can enter the building to the west. We see a bunch of tables. This must be where the Enclave eat. And we find a kitchen to the south. Here we find a man. Son, he says, I can tell from the smell that you're not wearing one of them powered armor suits. If the Sarge sees you out of uniform, you're screwed. And I ain't talking the type of screwing that feels good. Now get your ass down to supply and suit up. Where's that, we can ask? And he says, take the elevator in the next room down. Follow the hall to the main junction, turn left, and it's the first door on your left. Off you go. Thanks, we can say. The tables and shelves in this room are empty, as are the nearby barracks. So we can take the freight elevator down to the first floor. We arrive in a long hallway. Heading all the way to the end, we arrive at a crossroads with yet another freight elevator. This one leads us to a computer room with a scientist. We'll make good use of this later. So, going back down, we can try to find this armory. Turning right, we see a guard in front of a door. You must be looking for the armory, he says. Go back down the hall, turn right, and it's the first door on the left. You'll get your issue there. Thanks, we can say. Going down the hall, we find another elevator, and we see a door to the right. This door leads to a long hallway, which ends at a ladder going up, which brings us to Chris's shack. So this is the back passage we would have arrived at had we come in this way. But this is not the armory, so back down the ladder and retracing our steps, we can cross the hall to enter another room. Here we find the quartermaster. I'm busy right now. Come back later. I came back later, but I never got him to say much of anything else. There's nothing in his desk, but moving into the room beyond this, we find a number of lockers. In one, we find a plasma rifle. In the next, we find a 10mm SMG, 10mm ammunition, and small energy cells. In the next one, we find a suit of advanced power armor. This is the issue that Sergeant Dornan sent us to retrieve. Wearing this, we now appear as any other Enclave soldier. This is the best suit of armor in the game. It has a DR of 55 and a DT of 15. It grants +4 to strength and +60 to radiation resistance. This means we can give the T-51B to one of our companions. The locker next to this is empty, but next to this, we find some microfusion cells, energy cells, buff-out shotgun shells, and a combat shotgun. Next to this, we find a blue memory module. Another strange item we don't know what to do with yet, so we'll keep it for now. And in the final locker, we find some explosives. Now that we're dressed in our power armor, the Enclave treat us as one of them. Moving back to the hallway, we can take the elevator at the end of the hall. This leads us to a small room by a satellite dish. We'll explore this way later. Heading back downstairs, we can go down the southern hallway. At the end, we find a room to the right. Here we see a big computer and a scientist standing outside. "Yes, soldier," he says. "What is this place?" we can ask. "This is the computer room. That's the mainframe over there. The interface terminal is next to it, and these devices are the holotape data storage units. This is the latest and the greatest." "So what do you do here?" we can ask. "I'm the senior computer analyst," he says. "I get to maintain all of the equipment here." We can say, "Can I use the system for a minute? Check it out?" This is a speech check, and if we pass it, he says, "Well, I'm not supposed to allow anyone other than trained personnel to use the equipment. It's all rather complex and delicate, you understand." "Well, I promise not to break it," we can say. And he says, "All right. You can access the system from the terminal over there. Just be careful, please. They'll shoot us both if you damage that machine. Oh, and the guest password is Snooky." "Snooky?" we can say. "What the hell is a Snooky?" "Snooky," he says, "is my girlfriend's nickname. I think it's cute." "That's her out in the hall, by the way. She's one of the guards." "Yeah," says the chosen one. "Cute. Thanks." Now that we have the password, we can access the terminal. "Please enter your password," it says. We can try to hack into the system, and if we fail, the computer says unauthorized activity detected in main computer complex. Security alert! Security alert! "Crap," says the chosen one. We set off the alarm and everyone turns hostile. However, if we pass the hack, we find an option to initiate the welcome program. Alternatively, of course, we can enter the password we learned, Snooky. "Welcome to the Enclave," says the terminal. "You have limited system privileges at this time. For ease of use, the system has been equipped with a common English parser. Please enter all requests as English sentences." Where are the vertebrate plans located, we can ask? Searching. Accessing current inventory records. Data acquired. Current records indicate that one set of vertebrate schematics are in stock. 4 copies of the vertebrate schematics have been ordered this quarter. 4 copies of the vertebrate schematics have been delivered this quarter. 3 copies of the vertebrate schematics have been reported lost this quarter. The vertebrate schematics are housed in maintenance. "Fine," says the chosen one. "So where is maintenance located?" Searching. Accessing base architectural files. Data acquired. Maintenance is located above ground in the northeast quadrant of the base. Thanks, we can say. So where is the Enclave main base located, we can ask? Searching. Accessing geographical maps. Data acquired. Enclave headquarters is located 175 miles off the coast of California in the Pacific Ocean. Coordinates are 37 degrees 18 minutes north latitude by 128 degrees 7 minutes west longitude. "What the hell does all that crap mean?" says the chosen one. Searching. Accessing English slang dictionary. Data acquired. Translation follows. 1. It's a long ways away out in the ocean. 2. It's off the coast of California. 3. It's west of the city of San Francisco. 4. If you do not understand the geographical coordinate system, then you will not find it. "How can I get there?" we can ask. Searching. Accessing transportation directory. Data acquired. Transportation files indicate that 1,257 methods can be used to reach the Enclave headquarters. However, records also indicate that only 2 of these methods are currently available. Vertibird transportation can be acquired at Navarro Outpost. Ship transportation can be acquired at San Francisco Harbor. Please note that ship transportation has been flagged as inaccessible due to Security Act 9837-334-27A. Ship has been disabled, and a passkey is required for reactivation. Base Commander Navarro Outpost currently holds the passkey. Got it, we can say. We can ask where the armory is, but we've already eluded it. So finally we can say, where is the base commander's office located? Searching. Accessing base architectural files. Data acquired. Base commander's office is located below ground in the northeast quadrant of the base. Sounds good, we can say. Thank you for accessing EnclaveNet. Logging off. So the main Enclave base is located in the Pacific Ocean? Now, the computer said we could take a vertibird there, but that option was ultimately cut from the game. There is now only one way to get there, and that's to find a ship in San Francisco to take us there. But first we have to find a key to reactivate that ship, which is being held by the base commander. Heading out of the computer room, we see that guard standing in the hallway that the scientist told us about. "Why are you looking at me like that, soldier?" she says. "I hear you're called Snooky," we can say. "I think that's cute." What? He told you that? When I get off duty, I'm gonna kick his ass. Move along, soldier, and wipe that smirk off your face. Okay, we can say. Moving across the hallway, we open a door to enter another lab. We see a desk here. If we try to open it, the scientist stops us. "Stay away from there," he says. "I hope you have a good reason for interrupting my work, soldier," he says. "Well, I wanted to ask you some questions," we can say. And he says, "Very well. I have to live with you, grunt, so I might as well make an effort to get along with you." "Who are you?" we can ask. "My name is Schreiber, Dr. Schreiber. I'm the base physician, among other things." "Don't bother with your name, soldier. All the grunts look the same in that armor of yours." "Well, what do you do here?" we can ask. "I work as the base physician, but that's just a sideline. Actually, I'm a geneticist." "What's a geneticist?" we can ask. "I really don't think you have the intellectual capacity to understand my work, soldier," he says. "Let's just say that I can customize people or animals." "Well, what is this place?" we can ask. And he says, "This was the base med lab. However, I felt that my experiments took precedence over the minimal medical needs of the soldiers here, so I had it converted into a lab." Now apparently we see thick, puffy walls and sound baffles on the walls, for we find an option here to say, "Why is this room soundproofed?" And Schreiber says, "In the course of my research, I perform experiments on test subjects. Sometimes they get a little vocal. The base commander found this to be disturbing, so he had the soundproofing installed." Now, while we were on our way over here, we heard the sound of heavy footsteps in the room below. This led us to conclude that a Deathclaw must have been there, which is why we find an option here to say, "Why is there a Deathclaw in the other room?" And Schreiber says, "Big, brown, and ugly? It's an experiment that I've recently completed. It's scheduled for termination." "Why are you going to kill it?" we can ask. And he says, "The Enclave has been looking for cheap, expendable soldiers. We are interested in Deathclaws because they have built-in armor and weapons, and they're mean as hell. They just need to be smarter so they can understand commands. But not too smart, or they could develop a will of their own. With me so far?" "Yes, I follow you," we can say. Well, he continues, "We succeeded. We actually managed to increase their intelligence. However, I began to suspect that we went too far. That maybe they were a lot smarter than they were letting on. So when I was transferred here, I brought one of them with me so I could put my theory to the test." And we can say, "I was right," he says. "The Deathclaws have apparently been playing dumb, biding their time, and trying to learn as much as they can from us. They can even mimic human speech. I've actually had a conversation with that fellow in the next room." Anyway, the fact that they were capable of conceiving this plan and pulling off the deception shows just how dangerous they are. So what do you plan to do now, we can ask? And he says, I'm going to write a report on my findings and have it transmitted to the Enclave. Of course, I'll have to recommend the extermination of the Deathclaw breed. They are much too dangerous a threat. And if we're feeling devilish, we can say, hey, can I kill the Deathclaw for you? And he says, be my guest. It's in the next room. Finally, in the corner of the room, we see what appears to be a stuffed dog. We can ask him about this. Hey, Dr. Schreiber, what's with the dog statue by the door? That's K9, my dog, he says. I decided to see if I could cyber enhance his intelligence. It worked, but he developed a bad case of morals. He decided that he didn't like my work or me very much, and he bit me. As punishment, I disabled his legs, but left him pretty much functional otherwise. Now he gets to sit there and watch every distasteful thing I do. Can he be fixed, we can ask? Oh yes, he says. I removed his motivator circuit and gave it to Raul up in maintenance. It could always be put back in. Maybe I'll do that someday just to see if he's changed his attitude. The containers in this room are empty, so heading out we can go down the hallway and open the door to the south. As we do, Snooky takes us aside. Sorry, soldier, she says. That area is off limits to base personnel. I have to ask you to leave. But if we got permission from the doctor to take care of the Deathclaw on the other side of this door, we find an option to say, Doc wants me to kill the critter for him. He doesn't want to do it himself. And she says, I knew that bastard wouldn't have the balls to do it himself. Oh no, it's okay if one of us gets screwed up. Oh well. Go on and good luck, soldier. Thanks, Snooky, we can say. Opening the door, we find a Deathclaw.
Greetings, human. I am the warrior Zarn. Are you to be my executioner?
I don't know, we can say. I'd like to know why you're here. And Zarn stares at us intently for a moment.
Very well. The Enclave created my people as a slave warrior race. They enhanced our intellect, hoping we could better understand their commands and yet not recognize our status as slaves. They failed. We are much more intelligent than they suspect. We decided to play the fool until we could gain our freedom. Our chance arrived when the Enclave decided to test us outside their control, here on the mainland. Dr. Schreiber opposed their decision, but he was overruled. Not accepting the Enclave decision, he chose exile to this base, captured me, and has been performing experiments to determine my true nature. He has been successful. When he reports his findings to the Enclave, my people will be hunted down and slain. I must escape and warn my people.
Oh no, and we know that his people are already dead. And we realize that had we gotten here sooner and killed Dr. Schreiber before he alerted the Enclave, we could have saved them, preventing their attack. But we didn't. How could we have known? But we don't find an option to tell Zarn here the fate of his tribe. Instead, we can say, if this guy is such a threat, then why didn't you just kill him?
Recently, I began to consider just such an action, even though it is not my way to kill. I am certain the doctor noticed because he stopped seeing me in person. The choice is no longer mine to make.
Thanks for the story, we can say. It was interesting. Now, if, when we met Zarn, we instead said, yes, I am your executioner, he says,
so be it. I do not intend to go quietly, human. Let us make this a battle to remember.
I'm ready, we can say, let's party. And with that, Zarn attacks.
I am going to tear off your limbs and beat you with them.
He's a tough Deathclaw, but in our new Enclave power armor, his attacks do minimal damage. When he's dead, we can go back to Schreiber, but he has nothing to say about the death of Zarn. No thank you or anything. Or, instead of killing him, when he asks us if we're his executioner, instead we can say, no, I'm here to rescue you.
I find it hard to believe that an Enclave soldier is here to rescue me. More likely, you are here to build up my hopes so that you can dash them to pieces.
No, look, I really am here to rescue you.
You are my last hope, so I will place my trust in you. That door over there leads to an air shaft that exits into the woods above. I should be able to climb the shaft and gain my freedom. However, the door is securely locked and requires a passkey to open. Find the key, unlock the door, and grant me my freedom.
Sure, we can say. I'll do it. And now we know why Schreiber was so cautious about the drawers to his desk. Heading back into the doctor's office, we can talk to him. Back again, he says. What can I do for you this time? Are you sure this room is soundproofed, we can ask? Of course I'm sure, he says. The commander would have a fit otherwise. Why? Well, we can say, I don't want anyone to hear your screams as I experiment on you. And with that, Dr. Schreiber flees. But he doesn't flee far enough. With Schreiber dead, we can try to talk with his dog. The life functions of my master have terminated, he says. Are you my new master? Ha, we can say. A talking dog. 1, says Canine, I am a dog. 2, I am communicating with you vocally using the common English language. Therefore, it is safe to assume that I am a talking dog. Now, do you intend to answer the question that I posed to you a moment ago? Yes, we can say. Are you my master, he repeats. And we can say, sounds good. Excellent, says Canine. I am in need of repairs, master. My motivation unit has been removed. Find it, replace it, and I will join you. Any idea where I can find this part, we can ask? And he says, I am not sure, master. I would try maintenance. It is upstairs in the northeast corner of the base. I'll try there, we can say. If I don't find it, I'll look around for it. We don't find anything on Dr. Schreiber's body. Then, opening his desk, we find a blue passkey. Heading out of the lab, we can go back to Zarn.
Hello again. Have you found the key to the door?
Yeah, I've got it. I'll open the door for you, we can say.
Thank you. I will not forget this.
You're welcome. Then, moving south, we can use the blue card key to open the door.
Thank you again, my friend. I owe you a debt that cannot be repaid.
With that, Zarn leaves the room and walks down a long hallway. At the very end, he climbs a ladder. Now, this is not the only way to save Zarn. Remember at the beginning of the episode I said there was a third way we could sneak inside this base? Well, if instead of following the trail through the woods to the northeast, we walked west, we eventually find an air vent near to some rocks with a waterfall. Accessing it, we can climb inside the base. We go down a long hallway and arrive at Zarn's door. Now, to open this door, we do have to have the blue passkey. But thankfully, Dr. Schreiber's desk is not the only place we can find one. We actually already have this passkey. We found it inside the Gecko power plant. If we have it with us, we can simply use it on Zarn's door, and he walks out to his freedom. Alternatively, if we didn't kill Chris fast enough and he ended up radioing the Enclave and tripping the alarm, when we clamber down here to Zarn, he says,
Greetings, human. The base is on full alert. Are you by any chance the cause?
Yes, we can say, who are you?
I am Zarn, Pack Warrior. Allow me to join you and fight at your side for our freedom. Together we stand a chance. Alone, who knows?
Fine, we can say. We are in this together. Load up your claws and let's party down.
I thank you, human. Let us kick some Enclave ass. Pack Gruthar?
And with that, Zarn joins us as a temporary companion. If we choose to assault the base head-on, Zarn will fight for us. But even with his help, it's a difficult fight. After freeing or killing Zarn, we now have to find the base commander to get the activation key for the ship in San Francisco. Heading out of the hallway, we can turn right and again talk to the guard at the end of the hall. Sir, what is your business here? He says. Hi, I'm new here, we can say. And the guard says quietly, you must be lost then. This is the base commander's office. Nobody's allowed in here unless the old man sends for you. Nobody sees him, we can ask? And he again responds quietly, nobody. Well, just the cleaning crew. They usually come by in an hour or so. Other than that, this place is off limits. Now, you better head on out. Okay, we can say. Now, if we're stupid, we can talk to him again, and this time when he asks us why we're here, we can say, I'm here to clean the commander's office. And he says, yeah, right. I tell you the cleaning crew's coming, and then you magically just become one of them? You haven't even left my sight. You think I'm a frickin' moron? Get out of here. So, that didn't work. If we try to access the door anyway, the guard says, secure all stations. We're on alert. And he attacks. So, instead, we'll try to be a bit more crafty. Moving down into the hallway, we can wait an hour. Then when done, head back. He's not going to recognize us behind this helmet. This time when we say that we're here to clean the commander's office, the guard turns to the door. Commander, cleaning detail is here, sir. Yes, sir. And then he looks at us. Go on in. Heading inside, we find the commander standing by a table. Make it quick, soldier. I don't have all day to stand around. Yes, sir, we can say. Instead of cleaning, we can inspect his containers. The second bookshelf is empty, but the first one has a big book of science and a copy of Guns and Bullets. If we try to access his locker and the base commander catches us, leave my locker alone, he says, or I will dish out some serious pain. We could ignore his warnings, in which case he attacks. Killing him is certainly one way to gain access to this locker. Or if our sneak skill is high enough, we can sneak first, then pick the locker. Inside, we find a deck of Tragic the Gathering cards and a tanker fob. This must mean that the oil tanker that we heard about in San Francisco is the ship we need to find the Enclave. In the second locker, we find a plasma pistol and a stack of small energy cells. Then, moving into the base commander's bedroom, we can loot his containers. But annoyingly, they're all empty. Now, there is another way to do this, but it involves having a conversation first. If we retrace our steps and go back the way we came in, we arrive back at the Enclave's canteen. We can then go into the kitchen and talk to the chef, who, now that we're dressed like the Enclave, is willing to talk with us. Hey, soldier, you looking for some grub or just someone to talk to? Oh, let's chat a while, we can say. What you want to talk about, he says. What's going on around here, we can ask. Looking for some gossip, he says? I could give you the latest on what's happening in maintenance, the med lab, or among the grunts. Well, what's going on in maintenance, we can ask. And he says, Raul, the vertebrate mechanic, doesn't like Quincy, the head of maintenance. Those two are always getting into it. I don't think it's a case of professional rivalry either. Anyway, Raul's an arrogant ass, but Quincy's an okay kind of guy. I hope he wins in the end. Well, we can say, what can you tell me about the med lab? And he says, med lab's been taken over by an Enclave egghead named Schreiber. Mean son of a gun. Don't care for nothing or nobody. He's been doing some sort of experiments on death claws down there. Don't know what, though. Anyway, he was making all kinds of noise until the commander ordered the room soundproofed. Information we already know and took advantage of. What can you tell me about the grunts, we can ask? Ha! We're talking romance, my friend. It seems one of the computer geeks has fallen for one of the grunts. The guard outside the med lab even has one of those cutesy names for her, calls her Snooky, of all things. Anything else happening, we can ask? Nah, that's it around this place, he says. If I hear anything more, I'll let you know. I like talking about it just as much as I like hearing it. Hey, I'm interested in the vertebrates, we can say. If I wanted to look at the plans, where could I find them? And he says, why are you interested in those? Oh well, no matter. Quincy keeps them over in maintenance, I think. Where's that, we can ask? A northeast corner of the base, friend, he says. Can't miss it. Where's the Enclave main base located, we can ask? And he says, I'm surprised you don't know. You must be local, I guess. Anyway, main base is in the middle of the doggone ocean. Well, not smack ass in the middle. But it might as well be. The only way to get there is by ship or vertibird. And the damn ship requires a reactivation fob. Fob, we can ask? And he says, yeah, a passkey. Commander keeps it in his office. Without it, you can't access some areas on the ship, and that keeps the locals down in San Fran from paying an unwelcome visit. So where is this commander's office, we can ask? And he says, take the elevator in the next room down, follow the hallway to the main junction, and go straight. If we got the information about the fob from this cook guy, instead of pretending to be a cleaning crew, we can go back down and try to bluff our way in. When he asks us to leave, we can say, "Oh, well, I have business with the commander." "What is the nature of your business, sir?" he asks us. And once we have this information from the cook, we find an option to say, we got a call from base security. Seems they're worried about the tanker passkey getting into the wrong hands. We're here to lock it up." This is a difficult speech check. If we fail it, he says, "Let me see your orders." And we can say, "Oh, I didn't bring them with me." And he says, "Then get back to comm center and have them print the order." But there is no option to have these orders printed in the game. We've got to pass this check. If we do, the guard addresses the commander. "Commander, security detail is here. Main base wants the tanker passkey secured." "Yes, sir." And then he looks at us. "Go on in." With that, we can enter the commander's office. Talking to him. "The fob is in the locker over there," he says. "Have the duty officer contact me once it's secured." "Dismissed." "Yes, sir," we can say. Now, we can access the locker and take the fob without having to sneak and without him turning hostile. Now that we've done everything below ground, we can retrace our steps and take the elevator back above ground. Remember, Sergeant Dornan told us to report back to him once we got our issue. Now we've got it. Heading back to Sergeant Dornan, we can check in with him.
Excellent! You're in uniform now, so I'm going to give you a rare opportunity. We are going to start over as if I never met your sorry ass. Would you like that, soldier?
Yes, Sergeant!
Welcome to Camp Navarro. So you're the replacement. What's your name, Private?
I'm Oxhorn.
What was that? Did you forget something, maggot?
My name is Oxhorn, sir.
I am not a sir! I work for a living, you moron! You will call me Sergeant or Sergeant Dornan. Do you understand me?
Sure, Sarge. Whatever.
If I like you, you can call me Sarge. But guess what? I don't like you! Do you understand?
Yes, Sergeant!
Outstanding. Proceed on the double to the hangar, where you will stand guard duty. You will do a fine job. Do you understand?
What am I guarding there, Sergeant?
You moron! You are not to question my orders. When I say jump, you jump. When I say fight, you fight. When I tell you to die for your country, then you will certainly die. Have I made myself clear?
Yes, Sergeant! Now this conversation is a bit different if we have a stupid chosen one. When he asks us what our name is, we say, me Oxhorn.
Oh, lovely. They've sent me a moron. Listen closely. You will stand guard at the hangar. This is your duty post. You will go there now and stay on guard until told otherwise. Now move it, soldier!
Me go. Oh, that Dornan, man. He's gotta be so mean. At any rate, we appear outside the vertebrate hangar. We're on guard duty. We can ignore this if we want. But if we do, we find Sergeant Dornan walking around. And if he catches us...
Trooper, what are you doing here? Get back to your guard post!
We appear back at the hangar. Oh, great. Sergeant Dornan is now doing a loop of the entire facility. He checks in on every soldier, but they don't really like him much. Good, you found your duty station, he says. Asshole, they say. If we stayed in one place when he gets to us, stay awake, stay alert, stay alive. And he keeps on walking. However, if we're not here when he arrives, he stops in his tracks and says, "Where the hell is that screw-up private?" before marching off. What a brownie hound, says the other Enclave officers. Stay at your post until you're relieved, soldier. Yeah, you'd better walk away. If we leave our post again, and he catches us a second time...
Moron! If I see you away from your post again, it will be the sorriest day of your short life!
And we appear back at our post. If we leave our post, and he catches us a third time...
You are a danger to us all. That will end now.
He and all of the Enclave here in Navarro attack. Sergeant Dornan here is such a memorable figure that Enclave soldiers remember serving under him for the rest of their lives. The courier learns this when meeting Cannibal Johnson, a former Enclave soldier, during the events of Fallout New Vegas.
There's a twitch in my trigger finger. I've lost my eagle eyes, and the other day I could have sworn I heard Sergeant Dornan chewing me out.
Who's Sergeant Dornan?
He was a drill instructor I knew. He was also the meanest bastard I've ever known. Once he caught this private out of uniform, and old Dornan went off on the most ear-blistering rant known to man. It was inspiring.
Looks like it would have been a better idea had we got the power armor and then not gone back to Dornan. Well, now that he's on patrol, we're gonna have to avoid him. We find ourselves at the northwestern corner of Navarro, in the vertibird hangar, which is lucky. Maybe we can find some vertibird plans. Heading inside, we find Raul manning his post. Sorry, man, he says, but I don't have time to chit-chat, you know? I gotta get this bird working. The doc wants to fix his dog, we can say. He sent me for the parts. Hey, man, it's in the locker over there, he says. Take it and tell the doc Raul says hi. Heading to the lockers, we can explore the workbench first. In the bottom one, we find microfusion cells and small energy cells. The top one is empty. And the locker has K9's motivator. The workbench in the middle has Zadine's electronics, a tool, and a sledgehammer. The top one is empty. And the locker has a cat's paw magazine, a leather jacket, and an issue of Guns and Bullets. The final workbench has an expanded lockpick set. Nice. Didn't have one of these before. Some junk and a motor. These last two items are worthless. The pegboard is empty and the locker is empty. So no vertibird plans here. Let's see, where's Arch Dornan? There he is going on his rounds. I think we can sneak on by. We see a door in the side of the building here. Heading out that way, we see the small square building with the elevator inside that we saw earlier. Nice, we can use this to get below and evade Dornan. Back underground, we can head to the doctor's lab and bring the motivator to K9. Hello, Master, says K9. Have you found my motivator unit? Got it right here, we can say. Then please install the part, Master. Please, Master. Okay, calm down, we can say. Using the K9 motivator part in our inventory on K9, I appear to be fully functional now, Master. Shall I join you? K9 joins our party as a companion, and we earn 3,500 experience. K9's name is, of course, not only just a pun, because K9 is a canine, but it's also a reference to Doctor Who, first appearing in the series in 1977, joining the fourth Doctor as a companion.
Even simple one-dimensional chess exposes the limitations of the machine mind.
Bishop to Queen 6.
There.
Affirmative. Check, Master.
What?
Machine mind computes mate in 6 moves.
Rubbish! I think you and I should take a W-A-L-K.
W-A-L-K?
Look.
Walk, mistress.
I know.
Ready, Master.
No, you're not coming. You stay here.
Entreat, Master.
No.
Are they good?
No. Pluto's no place for a...
I'm sorry, K9. We won't be long.
K9 is a mediocre companion. At max level, his only stat to cap out at 10 is perception, and the most hit points he'll ever get is 137. Compare that to Goris, whose max HP is 187, and at his final level has 10 strength, endurance, and agility. But K9 is superior to the cybernetic dog that we got as a companion from Doc Henry in NCR. So while not the best companion of the available dog companions, he is one of the best. There is, however, one other dog companion we can get in Fallout 2 who's better than K9, but we won't be talking about him for quite some time. Now, I didn't want to get in trouble having this guy hang around. The last thing I need is Dornan to see me walking around with the doctor's dog. So heading south, we can take Zarn's escape tunnel and climb out the air vent to arrive just outside the gas station. Then heading to the highwayman, we can lighten our load a bit, throw our junk in the trunk, and have K9 wait here by the car. Then I headed back to the air vent, down to the escape tunnel, and all the way back to the elevator to take it back topside. Now that we're topside, we can see where Dornan is. Where is he? Oh, there he is. Looks like he just missed us. Nearby, we see a large satellite dish next to a turret, but we can't interact with it in any way. After Dornan walks off a bit, we can move south and enter the big rectangular building next to one of the vertibirds. Shouldn't you be at your post, soldier? It's not good to wander about here, says one guard. Looks like we'll have to make it quick. We can try accessing all of these computers, but it's not worth our time. We can't interact with any of them. We can, however, talk with the nearby scientist. Yes, soldier, he says. I'm new here, we can say, and I'm trying to get familiar with the base. Can I ask you some questions? Sure, I've got a few minutes, he says. What is this place, we can say? This is air traffic control. From here we can track all vertibird movement. Well, what's your job here, we can ask? I'm a computer technician, he says, first class. I maintain the link to the mainframe below. I need to look at the vertibird plans, we can ask. Where are they kept? Vertibird plans, he says. I don't see why you would need to know that. I suggest you talk to maintenance next door. Got it, we can say. Accessing the elevator here, we can take it to the floor below, and we see that it puts us out in the middle of the lower base, just outside the base commander's office. So heading back up, we see Dornan walking around outside. We'll just wait here till he passes by. Okay, and we're safe. After he leaves the nearby maintenance room, we can head out the front door and race inside. Here we find a ruined tanker of some sort. There are a couple of tables here hidden behind a wall, but they're both empty. Talking to the man standing here, he says, Quincy is in charge here. Go see him. Before we do, we can open a door to a nearby room. Inside we find 2 desks. Both are empty. So heading out, we can talk to the man standing by the workbenches. Name's Quincy, soldier, he says. Why are you tapping my shoulder and looking lost? Hi, we can say. I need to ask you something. All right, he says, but make it quick. I have inventory to do. What is this place, we can ask? This is maintenance. We repair pretty much anything except for the vertibirds. Well, where do the vertibirds get repaired, we can ask? They only fit in the hangar or outdoors. You figure it out from there, okay, he says. I'm looking for vertibird plans, we can ask. Do you know where I can find them? Well, he says, I've got a copy of the plans, but I just can't hand them out to anyone who asks for them. What do you want with them? We can be very honest here and say, oh, well, I've got some friends down south who want to get their hands on them. And he says, down south? Holy crap! We've got a spy here! Guards! Alert! Oops, we can say, put my foot in it this time. He and everyone else turns hostile. So instead of admitting that we're working for the Brotherhood of Steel, we can say, oh, well, I was told by the Sarge to get them. And Quincy says, look, Einstein, I can't give you the plans without authorization, okay? So go back to whoever sent you here and get the proper paperwork. Instead of shooting him in the head, we can say, hey, you got it. We see a number of containers behind him. In the first locker, we find a suit of combat armor. We'll snag it in case I ever want to get some dermal implant upgrades. The workbench has a first aid manual and a laser pistol inside. The pegboard is empty, and when we try to access the locker next to him, he says, hey, don't be rummaging through those drawers. Oh, I think we know what's in here. Activating sneak mode and opening the locker. Sure enough, we find the vertibird plans. In the workbench next to this, we find a big book of science, a super sledge, a wrench, and an electronic lockpick. The pegboard is empty, and then we can loot 2 footlockers on the ground. The first has some grenades and a crowbar, and the second is empty. Now, this was easy for me because I had pretty decent sneak, but without sneak, this becomes a tad more difficult. He asked for permission before he'd hand over the vertibird plans. Here's how we can get that permission. Heading south and trying to avoid Dornan, we can enter that one room right next to his office with the scientists inside. These are the guys who wouldn't talk with us earlier because we weren't wearing the power armor. Yes, sir, says one of the scientists. I'm new here, we can say. I need to ask a few questions to familiarize myself with the base. I'm a new recruit myself, sir, he says. I don't know if I can answer all your questions, but I'll try. What is this place, we can ask? This is the comms center, he says. We handle all communication with the main base from here. What is your job here, we can ask? And he says, I'm a comms center technician, second class. I handle all communications with the main base, and I maintain equipment status. Where is the Enclave main base located, we can ask? You've got to be kidding, right? He says. Do I look like I'm kidding? We can respond. And he says, the main base is located off the Pacific coast near the city of San Francisco. May I ask why you are asking? And we can say, no, this is a military matter. Now, how many ways do you know to reach the base? And he says, well, there is the vertibirds, but that's pretty obvious. Then there's the tanker down in San Fran. Other than that, I guess you'd have to swim. Next, we can say, I need to look at the vertibird plans. Where are they kept? And he says they would be located in maintenance, next to air traffic control. Now, even though he doesn't explicitly give us permission here, this is the conversation we need to have. But before we go back to maintenance, we can head down this elevator. We just arrive in a computer room, the communications room. There's nothing here. Couple of generators we can't interact with, a bunch of computers we can't interact with, and scientists who don't say much. So heading back topside, we can move back to maintenance and again check in with Quincy. So you're back, he says. Did you get the authorization? And we can say, I was told by a tech that I could find the vertibird plans here. And he says, a tech told you? You mean Raul? Did he send you? And recalling our conversation with the cook earlier, that Quincy and Raul were at each other's throats, we can say, yeah, Raul, that's the guy. And Quincy says, damn it! You know, Raul would lose his head if it weren't placed so firmly up his ass. And this is the third time this quarter that he's lost those plans. And now he doesn't even have the brass bouncing balls to come to me and ask for them? Fine. They're in the locker over there. Oh, and when you deliver them, tell that asshole I want to see him. Thanks, we can say. And with that, we now have permission to open the locker and take the plans. But hey, I want to see how this comedy plays out. Heading back to the hangar, we can deliver Quincy's message to Raul. We find a new option here to say, hey Raul, Quincy wants to see you. Quincy, huh? He says. Well, Raul don't want to see him, man. Raul is tired of his crap, you know. We could leave it at that, or we can say, Quincy said you were an asshole and that you wouldn't have the balls to report to him. Hey man, he says, Raul don't take no crap from nobody. You see Quincy working on these birds? No way, man. Only Raul works on these babies. You know why? 'Cause Quincy don't know dick, man. That's why. Well, we can say, hey, sorry, man. Raul shouldn't be yelling at you, you know? It's not your fault. You're just the messenger. Hey, man, you busy right now? Not really. We can say, why? Hey, look, man, says Raul. Raul's gonna go pay Quincy a visit, you know? Raul's gonna go clean the old man's clock. You stay here and watch Raul's birds, okay? Sure, Raul, we can say. I'll do it for you, but not just anybody. Hey, thanks, man, says Raul. Raul owes you one. Don't go away and, hey, man, if anyone screws with Raul's birds, you shoot them in the ass, okay? Okay, we can say. With that, Raul marches off to confront Quincy. I believe that we may have needed to go through this to gain access to the vertibird to take it to the Enclave base in the Pacific Ocean. Before that option was cut from the game. Even with Raul gone, we can't access this vertibird. But with Raul gone, we can steal K9's motivator, if we hadn't gotten it already. But since all we need to do to take it freely is talk to the doctor below, it's not that hard to do anyway. You know, I didn't want to miss anything, so after Raul marched off, I opened the side door and snuck over to the maintenance wing. Here we find another side door that we can sneak into to try and overhear their conversation. Raul marches right up to Quincy. Raul heard you were talking crap about him again. Yeah, well, don't believe everything you hear. This has happened once too often, asshole. Raul's gonna hurt you bad this time. Who told you that? 'Cause he's next after I knock some sense into you. With that, the two of them fight. Ooh. And Raul is victorious. If we walk on over to talk to Quincy, can't you see that I'm busy? He says he's busy lying on the ground hurt. If we hadn't already, we can take the vertibird plans. Quincy doesn't seem to mind, but we gotta be quick. We gotta make it back to the hangar before Raul returns. After all, he told us to guard the vertibirds. But once Raul returns, when we try to talk to him, he says, can't you see that Raul's busy? All right. No time even for a thank you. Fine. With that, we've fully explored Navarro, we've got a new companion named K9, we got the vertebrate plans for the Brotherhood of Steel, but most importantly, we discovered the location of the Enclave's main base. It's in the Pacific Ocean. What? On a boat? Now we've got to find a way to activate the tanker moored in San Francisco to take it to the Enclave main base. We'll pick up right here where we leave off in my next episode. I publish new Fallout videos each and every week on my channel, so if you don't want to miss that episode, be sure to subscribe and to click that bell notification button. If you have and you still feel like you're missing out on YouTube notifications, consider following me on Twitter at Oxhorn. I update Twitter manually with every new piece of content that I publish. I've got a brand new shirt in the shop. I've been to Project Purity. Confound your friends and family who recognize the Jefferson Memorial but have no idea what Project Purity is. This design comes on shirts in a variety of men's, women's, and children's sizes and in a wide array of colors. You can find it on other products as well, like smartphone cases, posters, mugs, stickers, prints, etc. So if interested, you can find a link to my shop in the description below, or you can click here. If you like what I do and you want to support me in a more personal way, consider becoming a patron on Patreon or a member here on YouTube. But more than anything, I'm just so glad you're here watching this video with me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon with more brand new videos.